For the thousands in attendance and the millions watching around the world, we are live and amplified. So let's get ready to podcast.
Fire it up.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
Doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. I'm glad you were able to make it. Sorry, I was trying to wrap up a couple of things before I let you in. So,
that's okay. That's cool.
How's everything in Canada?
Well, it's starting to get. It was snowing today, just a little. Nothing too crazy, but.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I've heard from some friends that live up north there that the weather's getting a little interesting. So
it's getting Canadian is what it's getting.
That's fair. I guess that's a fair way to look at it.
Yeah.
But first off, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a busy day, but I'm glad you were able to join us and chat a little bit. I know it's been, let's see, at least prior to before my mom got sick, we had you on, I know. But I think it was earlier this year. So it would probably been, because I think it was snowing at that time too. So it would probably been January, February.
And I have we're just talking about this at work, no sense of time since the whole COVID thing. It seems like that's been going on for 4 or 5 years, but it has, you know what I mean? It's like, really what I talked to you this year, or it seems like 2 years ago.
And I could be 100% wrong. Who knows? Like,
probably not.
I literally have no clue anymore. It's just one of them deals. And then everything with my mom getting sick, it's just like accelerated. Like last year, it was like, all right, let's get through this. And then this year, I woke up like 2 weeks ago. It was like, wait a minute, what's going on right now? What month is it? You know, it's daylight savings time. What do you mean? I don't comprehend. So
it seems to have hit a lot of people differently this year. Like, last night it was about 5:30 p.m. and I'm like, why is it dark? It seems like, exactly the same time as now here. And it's like pitch dark. It seems like 8:30 or 9 or something.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where I think it's just, the grasp of what's been going on is finally hitting us, and we haven't been able to really register. We've lived in this, I don't want to call it an alternate dimension, but
it feels like it.
Kind of what we've been living in. So, but I want to thank you for joining us once again. What's been new? What's been exciting? What are you working on right now?
Well, let's see. Just released a new album. So I actually have the CD, Last Seen in Canada. So that's my promotion. I have the CD here, but it's kind of cool. I'm like kind of old school, and I really like, to be able to hold something and go, I did that, as opposed to just digital. And the first show that I've done in like 2 years, really.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that was right. All this happened pretty much the same weekend, which was Halloween weekend. It just passed. So, it all went well, but it's really scraping the old rust off the live situation right after a couple of years. So,
and so the album released on Halloween, correct?
Yeah, well, the 28th of October. So same, may as well.
Okay, that makes sense because Halloween was Sunday, something like that. Sunday,
Saturday or actually Sunday. You're right. Yeah. So this came out the 28th. My show was the 29th, which is the Friday, and then Sunday. Yeah, that's right.
How was it? How did it feel to be back out in front of people playing?
It was pretty cool. I mean, it was a small show, and that's how it goes. But everything there's so much positivity, positive energy from everybody, because everybody wanted to be there and was happy that this was happening. So hopefully that's what we're looking for the future, more of that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And hopefully unfortunately it had to happen so late in the year where, like, I mean, I don't know what it isn't or how it is in Canada with the holidays coming up in December and whatnot. If slow shows start to slow down typically, or if they pick up, or if it's very seasonal, like if you can do Christmas music, you're good. If not,
No, it's funny. I've done some shows with Creeping Beauty and that, like acoustic shows and things, like in between Christmas and New Year's, and because nobody wants those dates, right? And we've done them and actually been successful because people are just like, all right, I've had enough of this, and they want to go out as long as the weather's good, which is the other, in Canada. And I mean, not just Canada, you get it all over, right?
Everywhere,
And, the weather can make a difference.
You mean you guys don't ride around in snowmobiles?
It depends where, it depends where you are. If you're in the city, that's a little harder, but if you're in the outskirts, like where I live, then people do actually take their snowmobiles out to bars and stuff, which they probably shouldn't be at least driving home.
They shouldn't be driving and drinking snow. No
matter what their vehicle they're in, right?
Yeah. It's I remember my dad telling me stories that when he lived up in northern Illinois, that there was like a group of people that did that where they would take their like snowmobiles out and go to bars or just go bar hopping on the snowmobile. And it's like that sounds like quite the adventure.
Yeah. And it's funny because like when I was a kid, this kind of thing, I was too young to be doing it, but it was where I come from, like kind of it's rural area, and it was not uncommon. You'd hear about it all the time, people getting on their dirt bikes or their snowmobiles and partying. And like half the time the police were doing like they were doing the same things.
Yeah.
It's like one of those Dukes of Hazzard things or something, like where it's a different time, a whole different.
Yeah, very much so. And you got the cops patrolling the street, but everybody's around on snowmobiles, and then the cops get smart and they're like, we need cop snowmobiles or what a cop mobile. So, that's funny. But no, it's great to have you on here. Obviously we're here for a very serious reason, which is to raise awareness and funds for pancreatic cancer research. I'm sure you've seen what my story or the motivation for me behind this is. Have you had any experiences or family members with cancer, pancreatic cancer?
I have not with pancreatic cancer. No. But yeah, I definitely read about it, and that's why I think I was a pretty early. It jumped on this right away as soon as I got the email. I'm like, like it's
it's one of those things where it was like, I'm going to push this out to whoever's interested. And I appreciate you jumping on as early as you did. So
well, definitely. It's a big undertaking for you. And I was thinking about that earlier. I'm like, like wondering if you would have any idea. I'm like, what are we talking about? Because I'm like, you have so many people and so much to deal with.
So it's interesting because my dad asked me that same question, not yesterday, but Wednesday. He's like, you're going to have a lot of new musicians on there, right? And I'm like, I mean, it's probably about a mixed bag. Like, I mean, I haven't gone through note for note on who's new versus who's been on the podcast before, but like the people that have been on the podcast, I at least am familiar with them enough to the point that it's like, oh, hey, and I can kind of lead into things. But the people that I've never interviewed before, like there's certain things that I can do to spark the conversation. And so.
Well, and generally people who are artists or are on a podcast in the first place have things to talk about. So they want to talk about them, right? So that's good too. But I was watching you. Was it Sharon that you had on?
Oh, Van Corvid,
yeah. So, and you were talking about social media and trying to wrangle people and and is it ever? It's the same thing when I share certain things like this, for example, and it doesn't get a reach, and it annoys me because it's like this isn't there's more to this than, it's for a good cause. It's not like one of these things where they should be limiting the reach on it.
And that's been the issue the entire time with this thing until I got to the point where I was just like, you know what? I've got my email list. That's good. It's not a giant list, but it'll get the stuff out there. And so you probably just got an email about 10 minutes ago.
Yeah, I did.
And I was just sitting there, I was like, all right, I'm going to send this email out and see if I can get some more people on, at least watching and whatnot. But like the issue with social media and Facebook is they want to keep you in their platform as much as possible. So it's just kind of like, okay, here we go.
Yeah. That's why people will say, well, why does Facebook keep changing stuff and making it difficult? And it's not user friendly like it used to be. And it's like, well, because they want you to stay there messing around, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
That raises their value. Most people don't even consider that. It's just, sharing memes and stuff. But
and the issue that I have is now because I was I don't remember what podcast it was, but we were talking about how Facebook originally started as this like friend to independent musicians. And then as algorithms change, you got to start paying for your advertisement and your exposure, which independent musicians, they might have a little bit of money, but not enough to launch a full ad campaign.
Yeah. And, I often say I would be a better musician, a better songwriter, and be more productive if I spent more time working on my music than I do messing around trying to promote it on Instagram and Facebook and stuff. And in fact, my page, and I didn't even notice it till tonight that you added me as a co-host or whatever it is to the event page. I didn't even notice until tonight when I went and I was on the page and I saw that my name there, because I don't get any notifications anymore. I can't even I can't even reply to a message. I can't even see it. So they just changed stuff to the point where I'm like, why am I even bothering? Because when I do something, I get barely any engagement anyway. So what I do is I have a Facebook group, which is Darren Michael Boyd's Little Toads. And the group is smaller, but the engagement is great. So I would rather be in the group. So,
and that's what we're trying. We have a Facebook group, but there isn't really any structure to it. So everybody's just constantly posting show. So anybody that's there just to listen to music or whatever, it's like, well, I'm not going to stick around because, shows.
Yeah.
So, it is what it is.
But, well, that was a whole other thing to learn too, because after, I made the group not to be like, hey, it's all about me, but it's my group. It's there for the people who care about what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I did that, all of a sudden there would be people posting random things in the group. So I had to make it so it was just me.
Yeah.
And if anybody doesn't like it, well, that's why it's there. It's from, otherwise it just gets diluted with a bunch of other stuff.
A bunch of randomness.
Which there are places for that. That's okay,
Yeah. And you can definitely set it up to where you have to approve everything, but unless you're on it all the time, it's just like you're going to miss something. Like right now I have it set to where our group, I have to approve anybody that gets that wants to be a part of it. And even that's just kind of like,
I think I have it so if they don't have, I don't know, mutual friends with me or something.
mm-hmm.
I don't remember the details because it was a while ago I set it up, but it's something like that. So every now and then I do get a request, and it's kind of good because sometimes you can tell they're just spammers. It's like bots and stuff. But
for sure. That's my favorite thing to do on Instagram, though. Is like when you post on Instagram and you get the, oh, hey, you should promote that on whatever. And so my favorite thing to do is just like they post like whatever their page is, and then I go and roast them in the comments.
Oh, yeah, I just usually report them because I didn't bother because it's a waste of time. But now I'm like, I don't know. I just sick of it. Like, well, that's not as bad, but sometimes it just, they bombard you. And if you post stories,
mm-hmm.
Then you'll get people who are like bots viewing just to try to drag you to their, and it's usually vulgarity and stuff. So
yep. It's one of those things. Like my whole logic behind it, though, to reply to the bot comments is it improves my engagement, and maybe it'll get me an extra view somewhere down the line because somebody it helped me in the algorithm or something. I don't know, but
it may also hurt the engagement too because it isn't real, right? And it just attracts more bots and I don't know. I'm not an expert. I don't think anybody actually at Facebook or Instagram is an expert either. They don't know how it works. It just works.
Yeah, pretty much. That is very fair. So, but no, once again, thank you everybody that's been tuning in to us all day. If you're interested in making a donation or just kind of, helping out any way you can, please share this YouTube video. If you're watching on Facebook or anywhere else, there should be donation links in the comment threads, and any help, support, shares, likes, comments, whatever you got, be much appreciated. And we are sitting here with Darren. Do you prefer Darren Boyd or Darren Michael Boyd? I don't think I've ever asked that question.
Well, I tend to go by Darren Michael Boyd, as the professional name, I guess, but the website is just darrenboyd.com because it's easier.
Yeah, that's true.
And also there's a Darren Boyd, the British actor. And that's when I first got the domain name. I'm like, I'm going to get that domain name before he does. But now he probably has darrenboyd.uk or something like that. So he doesn't care.
Gotcha. So you're up in Canada. Where in Canada are you again?
Close to Ottawa.
Okay.
So I'm about 20 minutes from the U.S. border, actually.
Okay.
So not very far.
Not too far.
Yeah, no.
And how are our shows are starting to pop back up again, right? In Canada?
Getting there. It's not, I've got friends who are in the States that I'll see their Instagram. And I'm like, man, you're doing tours, like full blown tours. And I was just happy to get that one show for starters. Of course, what I'm doing here is with this project is instrumental music, and it's a little weird. It's a little harder to get shows and to fit in places. Particularly when I'm trying to do something a little more theatrical and it's like, where does that even belong? But that's always been my thing since I was a kid. I always gravitated towards music and artists that didn't really belong, and then somehow against the odds became commercially successful anyway. So like Meatloaf or B-52s, all that stuff,
For sure. You definitely have music that can lend into more of a theater experience, I guess, or an orchestral experience.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like, how do you book those, or how do you, without risking taking a giant bath? Because I'm sure a financial bath that is.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, it's not like the typical, set you up for some opening slot in a bar. Well, I've done it, but it doesn't always. It can work, but I mean, and it's really hard because I get asked the question, well, if you could go on tour with any artist, who would you go on? And what the heart wants is not always the right, logical. Yeah. So that's always a tough one, as to what fans would like what I'm doing.
Yeah, for sure. And it's just one of those things. Sometimes you got to do whatever you can to make it work, but at the end of the day, it's like, man, I wish I could do this, or I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
So the album that you just released on the 28th, what's the name of that album? One more time.
It's called Last Seen in Canada.
Awesome. And what's how long have you been working on that?
Well, this is now 3 full-length albums in 3 years, along with 13 music videos, and working on two new ones coming up. So I'm excited about that. And that's kind of cool when you're doing instrumental music. Here's a plus: is that if you're doing music with lyrics, it kind of it guides music videos. Like we've all seen videos that we kind of go, well, that wasn't what I had in my head, because the lyrics kind of they shape imagery, right? Whereas instrumental, it's sort of open, like it can be a lot of things. So, as we can tell from movies and television, right? The music, the soundtrack can totally change the scene, right? So I'm excited about that. And 3 albums and just keeping at it. I think the difference with this one, it's a little more of a spooky surf vibe, if that makes sense. There's a little more clean guitar, and it's
Hey, I mean, it makes sense as to why you released it right around Halloween, So
well, there's some upbeat, fun stuff too. It's like I always like to take a roller coaster ride with music. Like there seemed to be this thing, I don't know when it started, where there's like music kind of all, and it's not a criticism of the artist, it's just a kind of a trend where if you skip to any song, there's a formula and a sound, and that's cool. But I kind of like just go, like I grew up on Queen and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So, that's all over the place.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's interesting you brought up Queen, because in a lot of your music, I can hear that influence, even though it's slight, like, I think your stuff's a little bit heavier than what they would produce, but
at times, not always, but at times for sure. Yeah.
But I could definitely hear the more theatrical influence, as Queen has been known to kind of
those harmonies and
yeah. Absolutely.
And that's the interesting thing about doing a live show is when we did this one, it was just a 3-piece. So it was me on guitar, bass player, and a drummer. And so I was running tracks for the like sound effects, keyboards, harmonies, and stuff. And that's a whole adventure in itself, because it's not cheating if I played it, but it is a mess if it's a train wreck and you go off that track. It's, I think everybody, you just go on YouTube and you'll see examples of that. It happened to Motley Crue and even Van Halen,
Yep. Absolutely. Well, I want to first off, thank you so much for jumping on here. I absolutely appreciate you.
Oh, my pleasure.
All day we've been asking people one question off of our random question generator.
Oh no, I saw that. And I couldn't have answered. I'm a movie guy and I couldn't have answered her question.
But speaking of which, do you know Van Corbett? Have you met her before? Or?
No, not at all. No, okay. I enjoyed the interview though.
Okay.
I just tuned in and
Gotcha. Yeah, it was just one of those things where it was like, I didn't know. That's like the ignorant American coming out, but like, all Canadians, they know each other, right?
Oh, it's funny, when I lived in Florida, every time I would meet somebody who would be, oh, you're from Canada, do you know so and so? Like, it's such a small country. It's like,
but so anyways,
I usually just said yes, like
yeah, I know him.
I know them, yeah.
All right, so if you're ready for your question, I've got it.
I'll try.
Right. What is one topic that you've really enjoyed learning about this year?
This year, that should be easy. I'm a mild-mannered librarian by day, so I do a lot of reading. I should know this. Okay, well, can I still use music, but go in a different direction? Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
I think that, I don't know if it's this year, but I'm going to say mostly this year, Japanese rock and metal bands.
Okay.
Like seriously, anybody who likes rock and metal, search up like Bandmate, Unlucky Morpheus, any of these Japanese bands, and your jaw will be on the floor. Just takes it to another level. So
really, all right.
Yeah.
Because I've heard some like not Japanese metal, but like it's almost like K-pop metal. I've heard a few
Yeah,
different
it's
bands.
not that.
Not that? Okay.
No, not that, that's to each his own. That's probably fine too, but this is not, it's the musical virtuosity is one thing, like they're all just, top level players, but there's more to it. The songs are great. The visuals, like they just have this, there's a scene, when there's an excitement in a scene that, well, they've got that right now. And it's been since about 2014 or so. And so I'm going, where have we been? What have we been so distracted by that we missed this? It's amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I'll have to go searching for it because there's this band that I found. They're actually I think they just ended their tour in the US, but they're getting ready to go over to Europe. They do, I don't even know what to call it. Aboriginal heavy metal or Aboriginal death metal.
I don't know if it's the same artist, but I've heard some of that, and it was the same thing. It's like, whoa, what are they doing here?
It's like
so cool.
The band's name is Alien Weaponry.
I think that's it. I think it's been a while, but I remember seeing somebody sent me a video, and I was like,
and so
really cool.
Like I randomly ran across them, and the one song, like when people send me music, it's usually just like one song because I don't have. Like it's better to just send one song instead of like an entire body of work because I'm more likely to, And so they sent me this one song and I put it on one day when I'm driving and you just hear that didgeridoo come through and I'm like, wait, what am I listening to? And then like the guitar comes in, the drums come in and I'm like, all right, I'm feeling it. And then they start chanting in their native language and I'm like, this is absolutely amazing. Like, where's this been my entire life? So,
and it's amazing. I find that so exciting as a music teacher too. And I'm sure students get tired of my excitement, enthusiasm, but I mean, we're generally working with 12 notes. I mean, it varies depending on where you are in the world with but microtones and stuff, but generally 12 notes. So when we think of all the music we've been hearing our whole lives, it's just 12 notes and it's still, there's still ways of being creative it's such a communication tool, such a language that's amazing.
Absolutely. It's incredible. Like just what people are doing with music nowadays and just experimenting. Like I'm pretty sure we talked about the Mongolian death metal band last time you were on.
Probably.
the Who, like HU is the name of their band.
That's
so like just everything that they're doing, all the like different subgenres of introducing, we'll call it indigenous instrumentation or indigenous music to whatever like metal. So it's like you got Viking death metal. I've explored Viking death metal. It's amazing. So it's so different and so fun. So
and there has to be a commitment, like to these artists to really, this is our direction and hope that, people actually get to hear it because that's the thing nowadays, like again, with social media and that it has to spread. It has to be people like the viral thing, right? It has to, but hopefully when we say viral, we don't mean just like blow up and then disappear. We mean like, that's my thing on Instagram or something like that. Like you're talking about the spammers and the bots and the people who follow you to unfollow you and all that nonsense. It's like, no, I just growing slow and steady and authentic. And it's, it's the way to go. Like
it's the only way to go. So, but once again, I want to thank you so much for jumping on here. If people want to check out the new album or anything you got coming up, where's the best place for them to do that?
They can go to darrenboyd.com and you can find everything there. So you can find like all the social media, YouTube, all that stuff, the album's there. And I'd love for people to check it out.
Awesome. Well, once again, thank you so much for joining us. It's been
pleasure. Thank you.
Had a great time catching up with you, and hopefully we'll get you back on the full-length podcast here again in the future.
Yeah, of course.
Awesome. Well, you have a good rest of your day, and we have Kendra Mickey from Kendra and the Bunnies coming up.